Alright, so once again, hello guys and welcome back to another course of our class about Excel. So congrats, you completed everything that you need to know for Excel to understand how it works Microsoft Excel. Right now it's time for you guys to put everything in application and create our first app. So the first thing we are going to do, so I think I mentioned it in past classes, is you will open up a new Excel spreadsheet, and from this new Excel spreadsheet you will simply create two sheets. So you just click here, insert sheet, you'll start with data, then calculations, then app. So when it's all done, right now when you want to create an app, let's say it could be an Excel app, it could be something that you want to program. We need to understand what's an app. So the purpose of an app is to answer a certain need. In this case, our main goal will be to create a grade course, a grade book for students, and also for our analysis. So as a teacher, we want to make an analysis of how much hours each student studied to get this type of grade, and if there is some kind of correlation between hours that a student studied and the grade that they had. Once again, all the data that we are going to use in this application is completely random, so sometimes the answer may not make a lot of sense. But in the end, the app should work. So let's start. So the first thing we are going to do is answer some basic questions. And for that, you will need a paper and a pen. Or you can use a Word document as I'm doing. So the first question will be what this app is used for. So the first, what this app will be used for. First thing, we want to create a grade book. Also, just to be sure for you guys, the grade book will be for the teacher. So the teacher will be able to see what are the grades of each student and what is, for example, the average or any other things. So it will be creating the grade book itself. Also is knowing if there is a correlation between time studied and the grade. So that's the goal of our app in the end. After that, what kind of data I need? Very simple. First kind of data that I will need is time studied. So I want to know how much time each student studied. Also, I want to know the name of the student. I want to know what's the grade. So grade of each student. For not only the grade for each student, the grade for each student, for each discipline. Here we go. So this is the data that I will need. This will be what the app will be used for. What type of calculations I will make in my app. First of all, I will need there is a lot of calculations. We are going to need to calculate the average. We're going to calculate what else? You know what? We're not going to write down the last part. It'll be easier with this, because if we start writing down all the calculations, you will be a bit lost. So let's just start with those two questions. What this app is used for, and what kind of data that you guys will need for this, to build up this app. So let's start. first thing, we are going to fill up our data. So right here, as we said, the first thing we need is the name of the students. So we'll just write down name. Then time studied. After that, we are going to use, well, 5 disciplines. It's gonna be math, let's say French, English, science, and arts. So that will be enough. So for the names, let's just write down student 1 to student 20. So just drag down all the students down here. Then time studied. The function, we're gonna write down a random function between, it's gonna be 5 and 40. So once again, random function, you simply write down an equal rand between 5 and 40 until down here. So we can see that's the time in hours. So we're gonna write down the little hour right here. Then here we have the grade. So the same thing. And for the grade, it's gonna be between 40 and 100. So right now we have all our students, we have the time that each student studied, and we have the grade for each, for each discipline that the student went to the class. So for this, to create our gradebook, this is the data that we will need, our first data. Then the next thing that we are going to need is for our second, our second application of the app, which is knowing what's the correlation between the time studied and the grade. What we are going to do, we are going to create another table. So right here with the same students. And what will be here is we will add for each student that studied less than, let's say, 10 hours. We will write down, so from 1 to 10, it's gonna be less than 10 hours. 11 to 20, between 11 and 20. So for the moment, it looks like it doesn't make sense, but just write those down. You'll see in the next class why we write those down. Between 21 and 30. To 40, between 40. All right. So what's gonna happen in our next class? We're gonna make the first calculations. The main goal here is to know how much each student studied to get their grades. So it's gonna be the exact same thing. I'm gonna create the exact same table. The only difference is that right here we will, instead of having a time studied, we will have a little thing that says less between. And once again, it's not because it's better like this, it's just so this way we'll be able to applicate all the functions that we learned in our course to create the app instead of just using some of the functions. So right now we have all the data that we need to create our app. So that's it for this class. In our next class, we are going to create all the calculations that we need so to be able to create the app. So see you guys in our next class, where we are going to enter the functions and create all the calculations required for the course.